with Edexcel Foundation, paper 3 from November 2018. So calculators always at the ready. Question 1. My preferred way is to do inverse operations. So on your calculator, simply work backwards. So 100 minus 56.3 fills in the blank with a 43.7. As with these, the tops must equal 7. So we've got 5/7. Percentage to a fraction, simply put the number over 100 because percent means divided by 100. Find the square root, so again, rely on your calculator. In it goes. Hopefully you get 1.2. Question 4, if you're doing fractions of amounts without a calculator, it's usually divide by the bottom. So now you've got a calculator, you can just do exactly the same thing to get the correct answer of 90. So on to some knowledge of 3D shapes, so that the sides are different, so not a cube, it's a cuboid. Number of edges, either know it or don't forget edges, trace it out. No matter how badly, as I'm obviously illustrating here. But if you do a count as you go along, 4 on the left, 4 on the right, and 4 in between to give you the answer of 12. Number 6, an ordinary fair dice. So the probability that it lands on an odd number, so there's just as many odds as evens, so it's a 50% chance, 0.5 or a half. Write down the probability that the dice lands on a number greater than 4, so that's a 5 or a 6 possible. So that's 2 different outcomes we're interested in out of 6 possible outcomes that could happen. Number 7, trying to catch you out here, but it's the old conflict of units. Personally, I'd change the centimetres, divide it by 100. So David is 0.06 metres taller, and that, if he's taller than Sean, get that number added on to give you 1.94 metres. Question 8, trying to do a wordy question early on, but one thing at a time. So, from 2 pence to 20 pence, that's 10 times the cost of £2.38. And from 5 folders to 20 folders, that's 4 times as much. Whenever they say you must show, do show as much, even though it's going to be on a calculator. Show all you're working out. Keep the examiners informed of what you're doing. Does Ben have enough with a £50 note? You've got a calculator, so go that extra bit further, why not? He'll actually get £3.80 in change. On to question 9 with some shapes. So the shape of E. E has nothing outstanding about it. Doesn't matter about the right angles. It's the one pair of parallel lines making it a trapezium. Don't forget the meaning of congruent. Congruent means same shape and size. If you flip them round, rotate them, turn them over or whatever. So C and D are the same shape and size. 10, a chance to show how rubbish I am with technology. Can't be bothered getting the ruler out. So let's just draw it freehand. If yours is not better than mine, you need to make sure you do it again. Question 11. Loads of ways of going about this one. My preference is to realise that if 30% are men, 70% will be women, and that accounts for 28 of those. So if you divide both sides by 7, we get 4 women and all the people at the meeting, all will mean 100%, multiply by 10. On to question 12. So I'll do the angles for you, and then obviously I can't do the protractor bit. I'll just draw them approximately. Feel free to have a look at my worked answers where I actually have done them properly. So the total is 60. In order to make a pie chart, it's got to total 360. Do a divide on your calculator to find the multiplier. They each need to be multiplied by 6 to give you 144, 96, and 120. So I'll give you the approximate answers, but as I say, look to my other PDF where I've done it properly. That looks like roughly 144, that'll do the job. 96, just over a right angle. For carrots, you don't have to write the size of the angles in, but it does help, obviously, to make sure you're on the ball with labels. 120 for the final slice. Question 13. Annie's selling some books. This is definitely a grab your calculator situation. So for one line at a time, 45 books cost £1.20 each. So they're costing a total of £54. 34 candles at £1.50 each, giving you £51. So the books and the candles are coming in at £105. So she got a total of 150. 150 minus 105 means £45 was made on the calendars. I'm going to do a divide, but don't forget pence, pounds. So we'll divide by 0.9. So she sold 50 calendars. Into number 14. Probability. Work out the probability it will land on a 2. Don't forget the sum of all probabilities should equal 1. So on your calculator, 1 minus 0.7 should fill in with a 0.3. Which number is it least likely? Well, the lowest number in terms of probability is 0.1. So that's a 4. And finally, whenever you're working out expected outcomes, take the number of times you're going to do a probability test, multiply it by the probability of the event happening, giving us a 12. On to Bert for question 15. Bert has 100 cards, whole numbers 1 to 100. No cards have the same number. If Bert puts a star on 3 and a circle on 15, sorry, on 5, that means every 15th card will go star, brilliant star, and circle. So you could list them, you could work it out, whoops, but you've got 15, 30, and 45, 60, 75, and 90. You don't have to list them, but it's a safe option. Question 16. You've got 450 grams to 15 grams. Now, so you can use your calculator to cancel things down, or you could go multiple steps. Just divide the left and the right by the same number until you can divide no more. Final answer of 30 to 1. Number 17. Now, I know people don't like these questions, but don't rush, don't panic. One line at a time. They're giving you a diagram, not just to picture the problem, but they're saying, please use it. So, it's got one line of symmetry. A to E is 4x. A to B is 2x plus 1. So this is 2x plus 1 as well. BC is x plus 2. So the right-hand side is x plus 2 as well. All that counts for method for the examiner. When it's a show question, I like to make sure it's watertight. So the perimeter, and I'm just going to list them. Yep, if that means writing everything out, so what? Don't bother worrying about it, just get on with it. And the perimeter equals 18. And when you simplify your terms, for obvious reasons, you must get what they've given you in the question. Show means do, but also show plenty of working out. And finally, find the value of x. Now, if you fell down on part A, don't forget, just because you can't do part A doesn't mean skip part B. They've given you the equation. You should still go about solving it, even if A didn't work out. Subtract 6 from both sides and divide by 10. Use your calculator if you need to, but you get the final answer of 1.2 centimetres. Oh, it doesn't give centimetres. Let's put it in there. Next, Trevor buys a boat. Again, it's getting into the realms of wordy questions, so one thing at a time. The cost of the boat is 14,200. When you're adding on a calculator paper, multiply by 1 point, and in this case 20%, means add the 20 on. So with the VAT, it's £17,040. Making a deposit of £5,000 means take it away. So Trevor's left with £12,040 to pay. We need to divide that by 10 because there's 10 equal payments. So Trevor needs to make sure he's paying £1,204 for each payment. Inequalities comes up all the time. Make sure you revise them year in, year out. They love giving you inequalities. So less than 4 means a circle on 4. There's no equals to, so it's an open circle. And don't worry about how long it is. As long as it's an arrow pointing left, it will do the job. Part B, all the possible values. Integers means whole number, so the smallest possible is not 3. We start the list at 4 and we stop at 7 because that's the upper limit. On question C, I know people get put off by the inequality. Just don't worry about it. Ignore the fact it's there. Get on with it as normal. Subtract an x from both sides. Disappears. Subtract 5 from both sides. And finally, divide both sides by 2. On to question 20. Bit of using a calculator, but first significant figures. So significant means important. The third most important number is the 5, which represents 50. Looking at the digit after it, it's a 7, so we round up and it becomes 7,360. 7,360. Next, hopefully with a modern calculator, you can just put it all in one go. Give it a go if you're having no success on an older calculator. Put some extra brackets in. Should work. But as long as you get the answer of 0.1077 and so on. Whoops. It's 1356 at the end. As long as you get those digits, you're doing something right. So, Joe pays for a car insurance. She's had a massive increase. So don't forget, percentage increase means actual increase. So do a takeaway divided by the original amount multiplied by 100. And I'm getting 260.4 and so on. So it's a 260% increase. Doesn't sound right. I know people aren't a fan when percentages go above 100, but it can happen. Look at the numbers. It's way more than double the amount. So it's 260. Absolutely makes sense. Question 22. Don't forget, it's an x squared graph, so the graph itself will be symmetrical. But more importantly, so will the values in this table. And oh look, they're the same. So we have symmetry going on. So we don't need to work out the value down here because up here it'll do the job. So take your x value of 2, sub it in. 2 squared is 4, plus 2 makes 6, but then subtract 4. 2 for the price of 1. In goes the 3. So we get 3 squared plus 3, take away 4 equals 8. So get these plotted. -3, 2. And I'm going to make an absolute mess of this. So again, if yours is not as good as mine, you must do it again. -2. 1 goes down to -4. -4 again. Up to -2. Here's where symmetry helps. Up to 2 and up to 8. This is where again I make a right mess of it. Please make sure I'm holding my breath. Please make sure yours is better than mine. Not bad. Wish I could have another go at the final bit. It was going so well. And finally, part C. Assuming your graph is pretty good, certainly better than mine. I've checked on the mark scheme. The answer, it says a solution. You only need one of them. -2.6, the mark scheme says. I'll take that for mine. And 1.6, the mark scheme says. Hey, I think that's not too bad. I will definitely take that. Question 23. Strange for a bar chart to be coming so late on, but it's actually not quite a bar charty type question. It's actually median, percentage from group data and mean of group data. So 20 or more books. Personally, whether it's a pictogram, bar line graph or bar chart, always a good idea to do the reading of the graph in one go. So how many students bought 2 or more, 20 or more? 2 out of the 40. So that's your fraction who chose more than 20 books. You times it by 100, you grab your calculator, and I really hope you get 5. So this is where the group data, so without going on to part B, I will just say it's group data in disguise. So for group data, you're always using midpoints. So onto the page. estimating the mean from grouped data. So the mean of the books, the midpoints, go as follows. The frequencies go as follows, and your job is to multiply. Usually, these results are in tables and you can just add another column on. But unfortunately, this year, they've chosen to disguise it. Grab your calculator for this job. Yep, I've already done it, which is why I can write and waffle, giving you the most important number, the total of 380. Don't forget, big mistake if you divide by 5. Yes, there's 5 lines, but there are 40. All right, in the question, giving you the answer of 9.5 books. Question 24. Lara is a skier. So, she completed a ski race. So you've got 1 minute 54 seconds. Never a good idea to have a conflict of units, because putting 1 minute 54 into a calculator, not the greatest. So I'll get that changed. Lots of words, but it tells you one key fact. She covers 475 meters in 114 seconds. So, again, without reading too far into it, she assumes she keeps the same speed for a 700-meter race. So that's the question mark. What goes in there? Now, whenever you've got a complicated conversion, do the same to both sides. What do I mean by same? Divide by the number you've got and times by the number you want. So on your calc, take the 114 seconds, divide it by 475, multiply it by 700, you get 168 seconds. So 2 minutes is 120 seconds. So the leftovers, 48 seconds. Not the friendliest of questions, but all about organising and finding what you need to divide and then multiply by. So Lara's average speed actually increases the further she goes, because there's no standing start and so on. So what will happen to part A? So as she increases her distance, the time, her average speed, all right, the time will reduce it. All right, the further she goes, it will reduce her average speed. Next, on to question 25, As we can see, starts off looking like a standard Pythagoras or potentially SOHCAHTOA, but it's got a bit of ratio in there. So, you know that that's 90. So you know that the other two angles must also have a total of 90. So let's share 90 divided by 5 gives us 18 degrees per share. So angle B is 3 lots of 18 and A is 2 lots of 18. You've got the ratio bit bagged. Now it becomes SOHCAHTOA. Get your labels. I'm going to work on the 36 angle, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. I want to work out, it's asking me for the hypotenuse. So this is a K, a C, a H question. Cross out what you want, that's the hypotenuse, and we get adjacent divided by C, which stands for cos of the angle we're using. 17.304, etc. So 17.3 is your answer, because it wants three significant figures. Finally, an arithmetic sequence just wants the nth term. It's going up in sixes. 6n is in your answer. Your 6 times table looks like this. What do I do to my 6 times table to get the sequence? It's looking like it's take away 1. Job done, and there we go. So I hope that helps, and if not, drop me a comment and I'll see it at some point and get back to you, I hope.